Jalen Brunson called not just game, but the series, and the Clippers force a game 7. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of the Locked On Pelicans podcast.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, and I host the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thank you for making the Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week. We are not stopping until an NBA champion is crowned, covering every single playoff game in the association here. Just 2 games on Thursday night, but oh my goodness, Jalen Brunson. We're going to break down his game winner. We're going to look at the Clippers forcing a game 7 here, and we'll look a little bit ahead, not just to the second round of the playoffs, but also to tonight's game, which has some pretty big implications here, John. But let's get to it here. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Jalen Brunson, my goodness, man.
Jalen Brunson, clutch player of the year.
I think he earned that award.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because he was during the Knicks struggle where the Pistons came all the way back and built their own lead. So the Knicks were up big enough. They had a lead of like 11 or 12. And then the Pistons,
they were up 15
in the fourth quarter.
Not in the fourth quarter, but over the game. Yeah.
Right. So I think it was 12 in the fourth quarter. And then the Pistons got up by 7 in the fourth quarter. And so in that stretch, Brunson was not hitting anything. No one was hitting anything.
He was really struggling in the fourth.
Yeah. And so for him to not only make that shot, but to take that particular shot with 6 seconds still on the clock, in a tie game, you normally want to make sure you're the last shot. So the worst thing that could happen is you go to overtime. He pulled up when it looked like he had more room to drive. It was an incredible decision, one that you might second guess if he didn't make it, but he made it. So it goes down as clutch, huge, incredible.
It was incredible. With about 10 seconds left, he had a Sir Thompson literally draped all over him, moving to his left, quickly kind of cut back, almost pulled his arm away from a Sir. A Sir lost his balance, and he had room to drive. And during that moment, right, Brunson, who at this point is 3 of 13 for 7 points in the fourth quarter, going into this shot, had room to drive and at least take like a short mid-range jumper with a high percentage of that going in, pulls up from 3. And I'm immediately being like, why are you doing that? You have more room, go and drive. And then immediately as I was like, that's such a dumb, oh my goodness, he made it. What a shot, right? Like the range of emotions you go through, particularly for Pistons fans, probably in that moment, I think was absurd. But like the confidence, I would use another word, to take that shot in that moment. We're a family-friendly show. I'm not going to say it here, but you can infer. To take that shot is wild to me.
Yeah, it really is. A minute, I think it was a minute and a half left. He also had this like wild layup underneath where he was off balance. It's these little things that happen here and there that allow you to step up into these moments where you've got to make these other plays. And that one play underneath the basket was, I forget what the situation, but I would, for him to keep his balance and to come back and finish it, that's what starts like the Knicks coming back, right? It's a weird thing that happened. If his momentum just goes the other way, just a tiny bit, he falls out of bounds and it's a turnover. But he keeps himself together, finishes the play. Now the Knicks are starting to come back. The Pistons are starting to look like they're the one, like
they were on the ropes at that point. It felt like
in the broadcast, they were saying the Knicks were looking like the team that's inexperienced as they were collapsing. And then the Pistons showed their inexperience, and Cade Cunningham didn't have a good game. You got a rough one from like Dennis Schroeder. You didn't get the little extras that you normally get from the Pistons, but for Brunson to keep himself together after a rough fourth quarter, making that layup, then taking that shot, I was perfectly willing to come up here and start like being a jerk and be like, hey, clutch player of the year.
Well, it kind of changed the narrative there. 40 points for Brunson on the night.
Call myself out on that too.
No, look, it's I know people like to focus on process over results. Sometimes the results matter more, especially in sports, right? You make the three. That's all that matters here, right? Whether that was the correct shot or not, he made it. That's all that matters. And what a shot. I was on my couch screaming at that point in time.
The process of this game was not great. So when you
correct.
talk process over results, this was not a game where you look at the process and you say, no, good process. And, whatever happens. This was like, clown cars, here and there. It was not the best execution. It was two teams that almost like didn't want to win for most of that fourth quarter. So yeah, at some point however you get the results in a situation like this. Like you got to close out the Pistons.
Especially on the road in a place that was loud. It sounded fun in there until the very end and looked awesome as an atmosphere. Let's go over to Locked On Pistons for their take on this one.
I'm here outside Little Caesars Arena. Most Locked On Pistons podcast, Cool Peel here. The Pistons just lost an absolute heartbreaker. You see all the fans walking out. Lose this series on an absolute heartbreaker. Had a 7-point lead in this fourth quarter. Looked like they had secured the comeback. They completely took away the momentum. Felt like they had this one in the bag. And they give up the lead. Jalen Brunson gets the move done on Asar Thompson. And it's the game-winning three to send the Pistons home. They lose the series 4-2. This is a great series. It was a great season from the Pistons. But absolutely heartbreaking way to lose. The biggest question that will come out of this game, I feel like, after this, is JB Bickerstaff's decision to take Asar Thompson out up 7 with around 2.5 minutes to go. That decision, we'll have to hear why that was. Maybe Asar was tired, but we have to hear why. Good season, though. Tough way to end it, though. Catch y'all on the podcast.
You can hear it in his voice. I love Koo. You can hear how brutal of a loss that was for Pistons fans, I think.
Like he recorded that probably like 5 minutes after the ball went off Beasley's hands. And that was, it wasn't, again, you talk about process. The process wasn't exactly great, but the result was Cunningham gets it over to Beasley, who was 6 of 13 from 3 and 6 of the 9 3-pointers, by the way, that the Pistons made. That was setting up to be like, get it to the guy, get it to the hot hand. And I don't know what happened. Beasley probably just took his eye off the ball and it went off his hands and went out of bounds. And it just slunk because, it was over at that point. And, we were looking at a potential overtime and Pistons fans were like, you're on edge. The game was tied. You're just like hoping it doesn't slip away. Brunson hits that shot. And as that pass is going into the air, you're like, oh, they got an open shot. Like you can feel that feeling like they got an open shot. Here it comes. And that anticipation, oh man, it is a heartbreaker. It is a heartbreaker.
So Koo just literally texted me as we're recording this as I was kind of sending him a text after he sent that video, and he just goes, "Sickening feeling," is what he said, which like that about sums it up. I thought the end of the game was kind of interesting because, and you touched on it earlier of, the Pistons were kind of like the untested young guys coming into this, and they kind of blew game one, and you could see their lack of experience there. They almost blew game two before holding on to it, right? This one, it seemed like they grew up and they had figured, kind of put some of it together. Those early games, like really that experience was valuable here, and then blew it again. I think it was either a 10-1 run or an 11-1 run at the end of the game for the Knicks to get back into it. And you kind of saw that throughout this series, these big runs that they would let up. It was rough. I got nothing else.
Yeah, I got nothing but love for the Pistons, though.
Fun team. Very fun team.
Fun team. Cade's great. This is good. This is all good. Like, it sucks in this moment. This is all good for the Pistons. So I take this, learn from it. You've got some good young players. There's a lot to figure out. This is, a lot of moves to be made, but this kind of heartbreak is something that you build on. He's going to grow as a player. The team's going to grow. So I think this is a great result for the Pistons, all things considered.
Someone's going to have heartbreak between the Clippers and Nuggets after the Clippers force a game 7. Let's break down game 6, though, coming up here next on today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Nights brought to you by Monarch Money. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where'd all my money go? Mine went to Jazz Fest today. Between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, it's super easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. It's your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. And Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized how much I was spending on food delivery. Those fees really add up. Now I budget smarter and I save more. And instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, even plan long-term goals. You're trying to buy a car, a house, or maybe just a big purchase at the end of the month. Monarch Money is going to be able to help you with that. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. And thank you for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here 7 days a week. We are not stopping until an NBA champion is crowned, and we're probably not even going to stop then. Still have the show every single day. It's been a lot of fun. There's some great games. I'm going to make Locked On Pistons and Locked On Knicks my second listen after that series because I want to learn a little bit more about those teams. Maybe you want to do the same. Maybe you want to check out Locked On Celtics for a preview between the Celtics and Knicks. We got a Locked On for whatever it is you're looking for here. All right, John, let's jump to the next game. 2 games on this Thursday night, and that is the Clippers beating the Denver Nuggets 111-105 to force a game 7 here. Well, I'm just excited for that because game 7s are awesome, but Clippers felt like they had to get this kind of performance from a James Harden with 28 points, Kawhi Leonard with 27. When those guys have played well, they've won. When they haven't played well, they haven't won. Is it just as simple as that?
I feel like it's pretty simple. Throw in Norm Powell, who had
awesome
huge shots. Awesome season and huge shots down the stretch, and a big 3 down the stretch when the Clippers looked to be kind of like giving this game away. He was the only one to actually like hit anything. So, but Harden, this is Harden beating the allegations, for all of the stuff that he's gone through. And look, the allegations are there because he deserves, everything that's been said about him. But in these playoffs, in this series, he's actually playing extraordinarily well, and he's had a great season. Like, this is an incredible, I don't know, second act, third act, final act. I don't know what it is for James Harden, but it's been an incredible year for him. And we've said this before. We get him and Kawhi playing like the way they've been playing. That's what gives them a shot. And then if you can get the other stuff, the Norm Powell scoring bunch, the Zubac defense on Jokic down the stretch, he had 3 blocks. I want to say a couple of them were down the stretch. Nick Batum giving them 34 minutes. It doesn't look like much on the box score.
He had a massive rebound in this game late too. Yeah.
And another block shot. He had 3 block shots. So if you can get those little supporting things from those players, then when you get those performances from Harden and Leonard, that's championship level basketball. I mean, that's the type of game, when you're holding off a team with Jokic and with Jamal Murray the way he's been playing, you need it all to work together. But those 2 guys are driving this thing.
Yeah, definitely. Denver really hurt themselves early. I thought it was close at half, but they had 8 turnovers in the first half, finished with 12 on the night, and that led to a bunch of points off turnover for the Clippers. And it's like, the Denver Nuggets, it's felt like their margin for victory has been so thin and was always going to be thin in this series, that 8 turnovers in the first half, like, that's just not going to work for a team like that, it feels like.
No, I mean, they've had some turnover issues. Jokic has had some turnover issues. He had 4 in this
Westbrook
game.
had 2 in the first half. Like, that's not good.
And it's tough because you can't get anything from Michael Porter Jr. right now because he's hurt.
Yep.
So they're leaning a lot on Jokic. Jokic is playing, I think, out of his mind. They're asking him, like, they've asked him to do everything this season, and now the playoffs come around, like, yeah, we know you've done everything for us. Can you do more now? Like, this is, when we say, people say, oh, I gave 110%. You're like, no, you can only give 100%. There's no 110%. Actually, this series is Jokic giving 110%. Like, they somehow found 110%. It's like, you ever watch The Good Place?
No.
For people who've watched The Good Place, there's a line where they say you can't give more than 100%. He goes, no, actually, in some instances you can. That's how we get Beyonce. And like, you can make that same joke about, that's how we get Nikola Jokic. Like, you're getting a little bit more than 100% out of him. And with that will come the turnovers. Because
it's why you don't fault him for that sort of thing. When a guy has like that high usage rate and he's basically carrying the entire offensive load, it feels like you're simply going to turn the ball over based on how many times you are touching it and all of the things that you're doing, let alone a big who's going to be passing like he does. 25 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds for Jokic in this one. Let's go over to Lockdown Nuggets for their take on the game.
The LA Clippers beat the Denver Nuggets 111-105 in one of the craziest games you've seen in the first round of this playoff. Y'all, the Clippers won every 50-50 ball. Everything they could have done to earn this victory, they did. Offensive glass, second chance points, you name it. Nikola Jokic had one of the strangest games you'll see. 20 points in the first half, just 5 in the second. Not aggressive enough. Bad turnovers, bad decision-making. Things you don't expect from Jokic. But shout out Ivica Zubac, giving him as much of a problem as he could possibly handle. But James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, the story of the game. 27 points for Kawhi Leonard. You get 24 points for Norm Powell. You get 28 points for James Harden. Their 3 best scorers all stepped up. Now it's headed back to Denver for a Game 7. And this is going to be who has the chance to move on to the second round that faces the OKC Thunder. This is going to be a fireworks show. Let's get to it.
It's going to be a fun Game 7, I think, hopefully.
I would expect it to be. If it's, follows suit with the rest of this series, it's going to be something crazy. Russell Westbrook will do something awesome and then something like mind-boggling, and it's going to, I don't even know who to pick. I don't know who to pick in that Game 7. But I can tell you what, Oklahoma City's sitting there like,
yeah, like whatever. We're all good. Enjoy your Game 7.
Look at how cute you guys are. That team, whatever team wins this series, is going to limp into OKC, and they're just going to be like all rested. Like, all right, I suppose it's time to put some belt to butt right now.
It's funny because like this game was like every stat in this one was close. It was a 6-point win for the Clippers. They were even in second chance points, 17-17. Fast break points was 12-11 in favor of Denver. Points in the paints, 56-50, right? Like they had nearly identical rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, all of those things. Like Game 7 should be a tight one, it feels like, kind of based on how they've like played each other. It really might come down to kind of what we led off this segment with, of like which version of the Clippers stars are going to show up.
Well, look, there is I go back to the James Harden thing. Harden has a history of not performing in that situation. So if Harden goes back to historical Harden, then it's Denver. But if he's this guy that is, 28 points, 8 assists, 6 rebounds, 50% shooting, 3 of 8 from 3, like that is an incredible performance in a must-win. Obviously, you're going to be eliminated if you lose kind of game. So this is already a game where he typically has not shown up in, and he did. So if he shows up in the Game 7, then you have a chance. You have a chance. But as usual in those Game 7s, it's going to be the other guys. It can Peyton Watson do something? Can Michael Porter do anything? Can he give them literally anything? Which he didn't do in this game.
5 points on the night.
He's got one arm. So I'm not like criticizing him for it. It's just, can you find, this is where we use terms like heroic, which, we know that there's nothing truly heroic in sports, but in the sports sense, playing with one arm, can you find a way to make a contribution and win this Game 7 at home and just give yourself a chance?
We'll see. You got a prediction on who wins?
Look, I got to skew home team. I got to skew Jokic because knowing James Harden's history, it's not that he hasn't had good games in playoff series. It's that he's had inopportune, horrible games. And I think we're at a point now where everybody's talking so glowingly about him that if this is a script that's being written, this is where the turn, this is where M. Night Shyamalan drops a twist and, something goes wrong. So I'm going to go with Denver. Not fully confident, yes.
Give me the Clippers because I believe in some Kawhi heroics coming up, to use your word there. And also Zubac. Watch him be the hero in Game 7 here. We'll reconvene next week for all of this. We're also going to get you all set for upcoming games in series that's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Monday, every single day, breaking down everything you want to know about the NBA and every game in the playoffs this season here. It's a lot of fun. We get some great games on Thursday nights. Used to get them on Tuesday nights, but really get them on Thursday nights. Give me a game winner every single time, please. Again, make your favorite NBA team your second listen today, whether that's Locked On Celtics, maybe not Locked On Pelicans right now, but it could be Locked On Knicks, could be Locked On Clippers, could be Locked On Nuggets. Make that your second listen today. All right, John, let's look ahead here a little bit. And let's start with this game tonight, and that is the Houston Rockets taking on the Golden State Warriors. Warriors up 3-2. Simple question to you here. Is the series over? Series done?
Yeah. I know I picked the Rockets before. I don't see them winning 2 games. They just don't have they don't have the consistent firepower. You look at this series, they've scored 85, 109, 104, 109. Oh, finally 131, but they're not, I'm sorry. They scored 85, 109, 93, 106, which are worse numbers. I just don't see it happening. This is this is in Golden State, right? So
yeah, they're the road team.
They're the road. So I want to believe in the Rockets so bad, and I want to believe that they have something that they can dig into, but the Warriors too cohesive. They've been there before. They're playing like a team that knows how to win a playoff series. And the Rockets, I didn't think it was going to be this big because I thought the talent and the defense was going to shine. I got to go Warriors.
It feels like it's going to come down to two players. Like, which version of Jimmy Butler are you going to get, and which version of Jalen Green are you going to get in this game, right? Like last game, Jimmy Butler coming back from the injury looked all out of sorts, right? 2 of 10 from the field, 8 points. Jalen Green, if he's hitting threes, that Rockets offense looks fantastic. If he's not, they look absolutely awful. And it's like, which of those two guys is going to step up, right? We can talk about Steph Curry. We can talk about Alperen Şengün, but you kind of said it when it came down to the Clippers and Nuggets here of it's like the other guys, someone's got to do the thing, right? Who's going to do the thing? Who's going to have that game where we're going to be like, oh, this is the Tari Eason game. This is the Steven Adams game, right? Like one of those. Game 4 was like the Brandon Podziemski game, right? It felt like with that sort of thing. Like, who's that guy going to be? But it really might come down to Jimmy Butler and Jalen Green and how those two are playing. Yeah,
I mean, look, you got to get the big games from the big names, and so there's no. They brought in Jimmy Butler for moments like this, and
playoff Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. So he has to rise above whatever however he's feeling. And like Jalen Green, that's a different story. There's going to be a ton of discussion about him over the summer. So I can't put yes, you put a lot on him because he's like one of their main guys or the main guy, but Jimmy Butler is the one. Like, I would expect Jimmy to find a way to come through here. So yeah. That's it. So I got to go with Golden State.
That's who I'm taking here. Golden State, by the way, -5 per FanDuel in this one here. I want to look ahead to, again, that's a series that starts on Sunday, and that's your Boston Celtics taking on the New York Knicks. Per FanDuel, here are the lines here. Boston -9 for game 1. Yeah. They are also, let me pull up the playoff series odds here. They're -1,000 to win the series, where the Knicks are +660.
Yeah.
Let's start with the Knicks side of this. You being the Boston guy, how do the Knicks win this series?
The Knicks win this series. You got to get big production from Karl-Anthony Towns. You got to get big production from Jalen Brunson, obviously. You have to find a way to defend the Celtics. I think you need a couple of things to happen. Like, you need the Celtics to miss shots. So how do you force the Celtics to miss shots? And this is the tough part, because Boston is going to target Brunson. They're going to target Towns. And so the Knicks need to have those two guys on the floor to be their offensive pillars. But those two guys are going to be the 100% targets on defense all the time. You need to get production from the other guys that are that the Celtics are going to leave, because there are players that the Celtics tend to leave, and so you can double Brunson, so you can double Karl-Anthony Towns. So Josh Hart is not a big 3-point threat. They tend to put Porzingis on Josh Hart and have him roam. So you got to get something out of Hart. Like, you got to make Hart or play somebody else. Maybe you dip into the bench somehow and get some production out there. You got to get somebody that can hit the shots around the two Knicks stars. So the Celtics defense can kind of be picked apart a little bit. The Celtics defense can be very, very difficult. If Josh Hart can't hit any shots, then the Knicks don't have much of a chance. So they hit shots and somehow limit Boston's 3-pointers.
No, I think it's that, right? Like, we know what this Boston team is. The Knicks offense also has not been great and did struggle mightily at times, I thought, in that series against the Detroit Pistons. Quickly here before we wrap up the show, how many games does Cavaliers Pacers go?
Ooh. I think
I threw that one at you out of nowhere here.
No, I think that has the potential to go 7.
Really?
Yeah, I love what the Pacers do, because the Pacers are so wild and unpredictable. They're so difficult to guard. It's going to be very difficult to stop the Pacers offense with those double bigs. Like, you're going to have a real problem playing 2 bigs on the floor against the Pacers. So it's going to change. It's going to force the Cavs to kind of change their style a little bit. Look, they're the better team on paper for sure, but the Pacers, look what the Pacers, people were picking the Bucks. The Pacers just kind of made easy work out of that series. They are a unique team. How many times have I sat here and surprised you with my pick of the Pacers?
No, that's fair.
Because I've been saying it for months now. The Pacers are dangerous. Covering the Celtics, I do not want to see the Pacers in the playoffs. They are very difficult to defend. It's impossible to know what they're going to do from play to play. So yeah, I think the Cavs are going to win, but I'm going to say 6. But if it goes 6, it could easily go 7. Like something. Yeah. So I don't think this is going to be an easy series for the Cavs. So they're going to have to fight for this one.
So I was going to say 5 before everything, before you said that. And then the more I think about it, you're swaying me here a little bit. So I'm probably going to make Locked On Cavs and Locked On Pacers my second listen now on Friday when we're recording this, because now I'm a little bit more intrigued in this series. But thank y'all for making Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. And we're going to wrap it up there. Enjoy the game between the Warriors and the Rockets tonight. They'll, of course, be recapping it on Saturday. We're recapping everything here on Locked On NBA Game Night in under 30 minutes or less. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at Nola Jake on Twitter, and the host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, and host of the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thank y'all for listening here, and we'll be back with y'all next week.